So in this video, I'm going to show us how we can rename a particular column and give it name of our choice. How to do this is basically simple. Since when it comes to this of our CSV file, or when it comes to way that some files are being structured, if it's structured, they can, once it's a kind of a table format, you know, it makes use of what is called the key and the value. So what we're actually trying to change is actually that of the key. That's what we're actually trying to change. So we can call that key and then give it a new value. So let's actually run this of our Pandas data frame right now, and then we're trying to change some columns. We can actually try to change for that of the index too. We can change that of the index. We can also change for the normal column name. So that's basically what we'll be going through in this video. Our data frame, this is what we are currently having on. So let me just change this city to somewhere like state. So I'm going to do it. I'm just going to say our df.rename. Rename. What do I want to rename? I'm going to put a additional curly braces. So what do I want to rename? I want to rename this of our city. What do I want to, sorry, this was city, so mistake. So what do I want to rename it to? I want to rename it to that of the state. So I'm just going to say state, and then I'm going to commit it to that of the pandas data frame. So I'm going to say what in place is going to be what true. So with this simple line of code, we are going to rename. Anytime we print out the city, you can see that it's no longer going to be city, it's now going to be state. So let's run it and actually see what we actually did. We run this, let's look at our city didn't change. Okay, the reason why this actually did not change, why was that? Okay, the reason why this thing did not change because we didn't actually set our axis, because we need to set our axis, let my pandas know that okay, we want to change this particular axis. So this, you know, axis, once you set it to 1, I'm talking about row, and you're talking about a particular column. But if you set or if you set it to 0, you're talking about a column. So since we're talking about row, we want to change the entire row. So I'm going to set our what axis. I'm going to set it to what 1. So let's run it again and see what we are going to get. Okay, so let's see what we get. You can see that this city here I've turned to state. You can see how simple that was. So let's say I want to make this of our invoice right here. This is our invoice column. I want to make it to be that of the, and another thing I want that of the index. But another thing I forgot to actually explain is that it's always a good idea when you specify what you're actually trying to change. So we can set our columns. So this is what the column that we're actually trying to change. It's always a good idea when you set the column. And if you set this particular column, it's always a good idea. So, but if you set this particular column, if we give it columns to be this, so you don't need to set this as is any longer. This is why I made this of this as is. I don't want things to be a little bit more complicated. But if we make use of columns, we are targeting this of the column, then we are going to set city. So this column city, we want to change it to state. If we do like that, we are not going to have any problem. So if in case you want to change a particular index, let's say let's set our invoice ID to become our particular index. So I'm just going to come on top here. I'm going to say our data frame that was set underscore what index. So if I set this our data frame to, if I set this our invoice ID to become our index, so I need to actually say in place is going to be what true. If I set it to true, this our invoice ID is now going to be our index. I talked about this in my previous video, so just check it out. So if I set it to be my index, so what I'm going to do, yes, I want to change the index. So now it's not, because it's now an index, so it's no longer so this our invoice ID now is now an index. It's no longer that of the column name any longer. Let's say I was to set this our, let's say let me set this our city to somewhere around let me set our city to be our index, and then I'll try to change this of our city to state. It's going to be a huge problem. So let's run it and see what we get. So as we can see here, our columns reduced to that of, meaning that one of the column was set to that of the index. So as of now, we're able to set our index to be city. So in the case if we run this in this way, what we're actually trying to do is we're actually trying to set a column, but there's no column any longer that is named city any longer. But this of our index, the label name has changed to the label. Our index label name is not that of the cities. So if we want to change that of the, let's say we want to change all these Port Harcourt, Lagos, and Abuja, if we want to change the index name. So how we can do this? We are going to set what is called index. Yes, so it's going to be index. Here we can pick, maybe we want to change this of the Lagos to somewhere, maybe something like lag or something like that. So when I run this, all the Lagos is now going to be changed to that of the lag, because I said the index. I want to change the that of Lagos to lag. So let's print it and see what we have. You can see here the Lagos were changed to lag. But let's say you want to change the title, which is the city, want to change it to something else. You want to make it to become index. How we can do that is just basically simple. So we are going to say what? I'm going to say our data frame dot what? Dot index dot one name. With this, we are going to set it to what? Let's say I want to change it to what? Index. So when I run this, it's going to get the name of our index, and then it's going to change it to what? Index. So at this point is now it's no longer going to be city, it's now going to become index. So let's see that what we have. Okay, let's see. This is what I have. You can see that. Let me scroll up a little bit. Consider that of the city was turned to index. So you can start to name it anything of your choice just by saying df.index.name, and then you give it the name of the index. Remember that this now you present that anytime you want to, the index label is now that of the index. So I think this was pretty enough to explain to you how you can actually change a column name and that of the index. Now I can change its value. So I think with this, we will come to the end of this video. If you find it helpful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I'll be happy to see you in the next. Thank you very much.